Good morning. It's a very, very snowy day today in Montreal. I'm Carrie Katz, and I am a life coach and creativity coach. And today I want to talk about fear. Why do I want to talk about fear? Well, actually, I know what fear feels like because I've been waking up every morning with this really strange feeling, like when you wake up from a nightmare, except that I'm fully awake. So my body is telling me, oh my God, what's going on? And finally I realized that somewhere in my brain, I'm afraid. I've started a new life and I must be afraid somewhere along the line in terms of going forward. So I just had 2 views and they left, but I will be putting this up on my YouTube channel. So hello from my YouTube channel. Okay, so fear. Fear, my mentor coach once told me that fear is false evidence appearing real. So usually, unless you're being chased by a lion or you're in a war-torn country or there's someone, you're really in a big, bad place with big, bad people, fear is actually quite good. It's getting your adrenaline going. You're having a flight or fight response, so you're alert, you're awake, and you're paying attention. You might sweat. You have a whole bunch of physical symptoms to when fear is getting triggered. But what if fear is actually not about an impending danger? It's actually about moving forward. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm just a hot mess. That's what it is. So I don't know how else to say it. And I'm sure that I'm not alone. So what does fear look like if you want to move forward, if you want to change something, if you're not doing something that you know you should do? In terms of your own personal sense of integrity or personal sense of aesthetics or what's right, or you see an injustice and you're afraid to speak up. So that fear comes in a lot of different ways. So your fear of failing. Some people are afraid to succeed because they'll have to continue to do whatever they do. So there's all kinds of fear, and I can tell you that I'm not alone in this, and that the only way to conquer it is just to go through it. Sometimes if you overthink, you can actually just freeze up and not do anything. And sometimes you don't even know if you're afraid. You're just avoiding, or you're just procrastinating. And I say this all from my own personal perspective of fear. I love the story I read this morning by Elizabeth Gilbert of her cousin who sold everything, and decided to pack up and move for 4 months to New Zealand. And she's been there for 4 years. She's gotten married, she's bought a house, she started a business. She's completely stuck. So I love that story that she posted today on Facebook. It was so well written, the way she does, but she also has a lot of compassion. In other words, we all get stuck, and then something happens, and then we watch and we get examples and we get inspired by other people who basically have taken the leap. In this case, Elizabeth Gilbert's cousin quit her job. I was let go. So many of you, maybe you're let go. Maybe it's not something of your making, but then it's up to you to shift it or change it or do something about it. I'm in the process for myself. I find it interesting, difficult. At times I want to get busy, but I seem to be spinning my wheels, and I'm not alone in that, and that is not easy to be doing. So, what is your fears? What is it that you might be, getting past? What is it that you might I'm trying different ways to see if this works. What is it that you can do today that will be a courageous moment? And what can you do every day this week to bring you out of your fear? So maybe it just starts with a very small movements. And if you're an extrovert, maybe it's taking time for yourself and going inward. And if you're an introvert, maybe it's going to a networking group or calling up a friend you haven't seen or putting yourself out there. So this is me signing off. Thank you for watching, if you do end up watching this. And that's my take on fear. I hope that you understand that there are real fears out there. There are real things that are scary. But the most amazing thing, I was listening yesterday to this interview, this Iranian woman who had been tortured. And she said, in prison and tortured, and she's living now in Canada happily, but she said that the hardest thing was when your spirit was, they were attacking your spirit, destroying not the body but the spirit. So I mean, that's the most scary thing I can imagine. And yet she said that was when she found the most profound sense of what beauty was, and facing her fears. So I just it was very inspiring yesterday when I heard it on the radio. And I guess that's an extreme, but you can't diminish any of our other fears that might come up that are relevant to you, and it depends on how you decide to confront them, move past them, breathe into them. And one more thing. I hope this inspires you. I used to have an incredible sense of shyness and stage fright. And to the point where I would literally just hide. Or I'd be on stage and nothing would come out. It was horrible. This was way before way. And I guess I'm an example. I wanted to do something more than I wanted to be afraid. So this is me signing up. Have a great day. Bye.